In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the best post-apocalyptic LEGO builds of all time, as collated by the Brothers Brick. First off, we have this excellent vehicle, in which we've got large tires and a sort of city built on a moving surface. This is part of a collection of vehicles, including this airship with a crane, and this sort of tank with a lot of machinery on top. The way he's created these is very clever, using a lot of dark tan, dark orange, tan and dark red with accents of yellow and black to create very dirty, earthy sort of color scheme. The bits of green and light bluish grey, as seen in this build, add to that sort of metallic look, making it seem like something futuristic. Even though there are no minifigures in any of these builds, the builds themselves are quite good. Well, there's a minifigure. But I do think some post-apocalyptic minifigures could have gone nicely with these. If we focus on this panel here, the way he's integrated these windows through some clever part usage is simply excellent. I'm not sure what these sand blue parts are, but I know that they do work well, and the same here for the windows. The use of all sorts of strange window pieces, like this windshield piece upside down, works great, combined with a lot of these support structure pieces to create a sort of construction, unfinished sort of build, which looks tremendous in the post-apocalyptic world. As you can see, the way he supported a flying ship is by creating a transparent pillar under it, and while this is the most common technique to do it, I'm not a big fan of the way he's connected the build. I think it would have been better if he added the support structure higher up inside, where this plate that it adds onto isn't as visible. But nevertheless, it's a good build. At the back we can see some flags. I'm guessing these are either the classic castle flags or the flags from the Lion Knight castle, but you can see he's combined two, putting the prints facing each other such that you get a yellow flag with a bit of red on the edges, instead of having a Lion Knight logo on it. Also chains and these barbed wire pieces which look a lot like non-Lego, but I'm not going to accuse him of anything, also work well, and the caterpillar tracks with two different colors of chain link work well too. In this photo we can see a lot of the builds put together. We've got the airship up here on the left, a couple of minifigures and some sort of civilization down below, with even a lake and plenty of terrain. I think the blue-green lake works well. How he's done that is it looks like he has put lime green plates down with light translucent blue tiles over the top. But as you can see, the sand blue, sand green, and unfortunately he doesn't have sand red, but the dark orange all works well, adding to that unified color scheme across the build. Moving on, we have this sort of crumbling apartment block, which looks like it's from a movie, and it says here it's from the TV show The Last of Us. I'm pretty sure. It features a bus, which is very well built, using rounded plates and corner rounded tiles to create these sort of indents in the side that match a rusted, crumbling bus. Even though it looks like this might be a digital render, I'm not 100% convinced it is. It might just be very clean photography. But one of the telltale signs of digital renders are this kind of uniform reflection that we're getting down the side here. Nonetheless, the build itself looks great. Even though it's primarily just light bluish grey, the use of these ingot pieces, rounded tiles, and all sorts of other things scattered throughout the walls, as well as these vertical pillars constructed with tiles and the dark tan accents, create a very compelling look. The plants and vines also add to it, with mostly just using these vine pieces attached by clips in small clusters throughout the build, creeping out of the windows and out of the cracks mostly. You also got a little tree here, which I do think adds a lot, and some hose pieces running down as sort of vines. When it comes to the base, we have the classic black border with some terrain in the middle, but even the terrain has been well made to suit the apocalyptic landscape, with this kind of swamp with plenty of angles and plenty of quirky pieces even inside. This construction here makes me think that this might be part of a collaboration where it can connect there, but still I don't know if they would have done that, because if I was making something as part of a collaboration, I would have just put the connection points in the side of the base. Nonetheless, it's a good build with two well suited minifigures. Next we have this small and fairly simple build of two sort of robots on a small piece of terrain. Firstly, I just want to point out these olive green grass stems are quite rare and quite expensive, but I think they've been used well to match to the color scheme, matching that olive green torso and a few of the accents scattered throughout. I'm also a fan of the colors used here. I believe it's the light nougat and that could be medium nougat in the terrain and in the drone and the soldier robots themselves. When it comes to the guns, they've done a pretty good job. It looks like they took a current gun, added a minifigure hand at the front, and clipped in a bar to add a scope. I've also put a Technic pin on the front for the muzzle. This gun is done in a similar way, but this one has binoculars on it. The other thing I like about this build is the legs. I imagine these would have been very hard to sit upright, especially this one here, where there doesn't seem to be any connection points to the base, but we've got minifigure hands and little bar pieces acting as some sort of feet. On this one we have sausages, which look a bit like prosthetic legs, and here it's clipped on, because otherwise that would have been insanely impossible to balance. Moving on, we have a part of New Hashima, which is sometimes regarded as the best collaborative LEGO build of all time, and certainly the biggest cyberpunk city. This part here was an offshore slum as part of the main city, and I think it does a great job of conveying this. We have these containers that have been converted into some sort of Japanese housing with these lanterns and the cherry blossom on the side, adding a nice touch. You can see throughout all these builds we've got sand green, sand blue and light bluish grey, the universal colour scheme of post-apocalyptic builds, with a bit of dark orange in there too. The way they've constructed these fans is very impressive. They've used arch pieces put on their side, with one of those fans from a vehicle put in the middle. The way they've integrated cylindrical pieces and straight pieces work very well. I'm also a fan of this doorway. Instead of just using the plain old door, they put a door frame piece and then behind it built a brick-built door using what looks like teal pieces with some brown accents. As well as this, we've got one minifigure holding a club next to a motorcycle, where we can see how some lights have been added to add some ambience to the build. The other thing I like about this is how it's not purely one geometry. Even though it's mostly made up of rectangles and cube sort of shapes, the container's on an angle, this wall is on a slight angle, and we've got pillars and indents breaking up what would have been a boring build. Moving on, we have a Fallout build, I believe, from a fellow LEGO YouTuber, Kubrick, who, according to the description, spent 8 months building this. It certainly looks like it paid off, judged basing on how the build looks. My favorite part is probably this yellow ute, which has been added with a lot of dark orange and reddish brown to degrade the colors. But if you want to see more of this, go check it out on his YouTube channel. Moving on, we have a slice of desert, which seems to be a common theme in these post-apocalyptic builds. This one seems a bit like some sort of camp. We've got this container with a sort of tarp at the front and a sort of watchtower. This one's not my favorite of the lot because I think it looks too messy and doesn't have that clean sand aesthetic that have been visible in the previous ones, but there are still a few things I like about it. Firstly, even though a lot of it's just desert, they've managed to create an intriguing surface. A lot of it's built on its side and the parts that aren't are tiled off. And even though that would have taken a lot of pieces, I think it works quite well. The road at an angle is all snot built, and then they've used wedges along the side to make it flush with the outside. I think they did quite a good job there. Moving on, we have this very cinematic build of some sort of robot entering some sort of tunnel. I'm not sure if this is a digital render or not, but it certainly looks like it. And even though it is, I think it works really well. I'm not sure what these orange pieces are, but whatever it is, they had a lot of them. And the yellow really stands out from the rest of the colors. The way this tunnel focuses your eye by the leading lines down to the middle is quite well achieved, and I think it works well. Here is the robot by itself. You can see we've got a spring in there. I think it's very nice when builders use parts from other LEGO themes, like these antennas I assume are from some obscure theme, and the spring must be from some sort of Technic set. A classic part of post-apocalyptic builds are of course mechs, and here is one nice build in some sort of light azure color. I'm not sure what the exact name is. The sound is plain but effective, and I like how they've rounded off the corners of the base. One thing I'm not a fan of is the open studs here. Compared to the cleanness of the rest of it, I think it detracts. But where I think they've done a particularly good job is this round part in the middle, using hinge pieces stacked by themselves to go around a central axle. The kind of space minifigure works well too, where they've put a telescope into a stud launcher. We've also got this build, and while I'm not sure how post-apocalyptic this part is, that character certainly is. I think brick-built characters work very well in a lot of builds, and this is certainly one of them. The way they've achieved that gas mask using these bottle caps and roller skates works particularly well, with the bionicle headpiece adding a nice touch. The frog thing itself is also particularly good, mostly the head, where they've used a lot of bionicle parts and gold handcuffs, especially in the side. This makes me wonder if it was for Iron Builder. There we go. It was for Iron Builder. Iron Builder, for those who don't know, is a competition where competitors must use a seed part as much as they can, and here the part was gold handcuffs, explaining why they've packed so many into the build when no normal person has that many gold handcuffs and no normal person would use that many in a normal build. Next we've got what's described as a new take on a LEGO houseboat, and this is one of my favorite builds we've seen today. Starting at the bottom, we have a clean black base, but I particularly like how the swamp doesn't extend all the way to the edge, focusing the viewer's attention into the middle. The combination of sand blue and sand green, all constructed on its side with a few snot holes for various sticks, works particularly well, and the way the legs extend through the build not only adds solidity and structural integrity to the build, but also makes it seem like the legs extend underwater. Of course, the green pallets and frogs add a nice touch, and hopefully I'll be able to get some green pallets in the future so I can too build lily pads like these. Moving on to the legs, they're all different colours, but the fairly neutral colours used all work together well, with these interesting round pieces using a Technic cog with a rounded reverse tile piece on the bottom. We've got this metallic gas piece in the middle with a lot of these hydraulic cables and hose pieces added on. As you can see, in a lot of these post-apocalyptic builds, a lot of Technic elements are used, such as these yellow elastics, which I'm not 100% convinced that these are authentic Lego elastics, but they work well nonetheless. The house itself is also great. It's all been constructed using snod techniques, and while it doesn't look the most sturdy from a structural integrity point of view, it certainly does the job and it looks great. There are like 3 satellite dishes on the top, and the power lines, which would be completely unnecessary in a house like this, add a great job of extending the height of the build and adding visual interest. That window is also particularly good, where they've used an illegal technique where they put minifigure hands inside the anti-stud of a 1x1 tile by the look of it, and a Harry Potter wand-piece wand running up the middle. We've also got a little net on a crane and a sort of fisherman minifigure over here, where they've taken a fishing piece and tied one of those clips onto the end. All in all, it does a great job, especially that roof with the different colours of tile at different angles, creating a very rickety look. Moving on, we have a micro scale Lego Dystopia, and it certainly looks interesting, but I feel like it's too busy and I don't really see much in it. This build is particularly interesting, and this is the last build we'll be looking at today. It's all monochrome, so there are no colors, but it's some sort of tank piled up on top of other tanks with these faceless ghoul things on top. Seeing as the image is called Nest, I'm guessing this is their nest, but what exactly they are remains unknown. I'm not exactly sure how they've created these figures, but evidently with a lot of hose pieces and these round reverse slopes. The way he's got a lot of different angles in here work well too, and I can see a few hose pieces and Technic things going on in there. And with that, that's all for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know which one's your favorite in the comments, and as always, I'll see you next time.